What's up, you guys? My name is Hutch. I'm a gaming sex icon. Welcome to another episode of Chess with Grandmasters. Once again, this session, we actually went over some of my old games that I've been playing on chess.com. The people over at chess.com were nice enough to give me a lifetime platinum membership, which was awesome, obviously. So I've been spending a lot more time playing these days, and this is Tal giving me tips how to get through the opening and just generally improve. I'm glad you guys are digging these videos. Sit back, relax, grab a beer, enjoy. They make it super easy.
So here, let's see. So you're black again, e4, e5, our favorite opening, knight f3, knight c6. The Italian, you play bishop c5. I remember I showed you this trick in one of the earlier streams. You prevent knight g5 by not developing your knight yet because your queen is keeping an eye.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I was conscious of that or remembered that, but yeah.
Yeah, but it's a well-known move order trick, and I'll just mention that in general you want to develop the knights first before the bishops. But in this particular position, getting the bishop out first is more sneaky because you avoid this fried liver attack. So c3, and well, now he wants d4. And it looks scary, so I realize why you play this move a6 to have this square for the bishop. But it is in fact not developing any piece, so it's kind of a waste of a move. So finally, we have some mistake from your end.
Okay, all right. Shouldn't be too hard to find those, man.
So after c3, he wants d4, but surprisingly or not so surprisingly, the most logical way to follow up is to just develop your pieces. So if you play knight f6 and he goes d4, then you can simply take and go bishop b4 check. And even though it's kind of dangerous looking, it is objectively good for black. And there are some gambits here, but you don't have to accept them. So this is good for black in general.
All right,
and okay, it's not an advantage for black. It's if white wants, he can equalize, but he has to be careful. So this is the regular continuation. Another option, just to mention, if you don't want to have any theory, you can play d6, but not a6. And then if d4, you go bishop b6. You don't want to release the tension, as I told you in the past.
So what happens now if, can I take over here? Let me take over
sure.
here. So now what happens if he does this? And I
d5.
go here, and he goes here. Oh, no, that doesn't work. Never mind.
Exactly. The bishop is closed, so he's not attacking f7.
Okay.
So after bishop b6, the regular move is castles. And now you go knight f6. Normally they go something like... No, actually I think I was wrong, in fact, because after bishop b6, they can maybe play d takes e5 and queen takes d8. So let me just demonstrate why this is bad for black. Because now you have to take back probably with the pawn. Now queen d8, king d8, and bishop takes f7, yeah?
Yeah, okay.
And you lose the pawn. And I'll just quickly mention that if knight e5, there is a very nasty tactic here. Can you see it?
Let me look at this. Hold on. A very nasty tactic, he says. Yeah, bishop check. Bishop takes pawn check.
Exactly. Bishop takes f7, and it's already almost losing, pretty much losing for black.
So even if you wanted to
king
that,
e7.
yeah. So then now bishop check, and it's no bueno.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, if it's bishop check, then you can just go right there.
Knight
right?
f6. Yeah. So you're not losing the game yet by means of losing your queen. But after queen d8, king d8, and so on, it's very bad.
Sure.
So so d takes e5 is very good for white. So bishop b6 is a mistake. So d6, as I mentioned, and now just because of this concrete reason, you do release the tension, and then you go bishop b6. And this is the regular way to play. And now the castle, knight f6.
Can you guys hear the leaf blower coming from my mic here?
Castles. And just to quickly mention, you want to go bishop g4 next.
Yeah.
And many players here go h3 to avoid it, but now it's really good for black because of knight takes e4, followed by d5.
Okay, I'm confused. Why wouldn't he just take that with his knight then? Oh, okay. I see.
Yeah.
I see.
And this is now he will be left with an isolated pawn. So yeah, h3 is generally not a good idea if he didn't finish his development. So he has to allow bishop g4, and then you have a good position. So we had some quick theoretical discussion here. And now that you know how to deal with this opening, we can go back to the game.
Remember it. Yeah. All right.
You don't have to remember. Just you can like play. I mean, just like with the bishop c5, as they say in the Eastern philosophy, like becoming a true master is to know everything, forgetting it, and then doing it with your like intuition, without realizing that you do it.
Yeah, I like it. It's a good outlook there.
Yeah. So a6 was not the best because now he takes over the center, and yeah, he is exploiting it well. Bishop b6, and now castles. Actually, if I were to play on the white pieces, I would try to exploit it in a more violent manner. By the way, are you
still moving the pieces? Because I can't. It's still on the same. It's on the sixth move for me.
Bishop b6 is the last move.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry about that. Go ahead.
I just wanna make sure something. If my viewers can see the, yeah, they can. Okay. So bishop b6, and now, so as I mentioned in the previous game, your opponent was playing for the initiative and he had to strike the iron while it was hot. So same applies here. You are underdeveloped, you wasted a move with a6, he wants to punish you, he better do it instantly. So I would consider something like d5 or knight g5, and just get the feeling that it's a good move for a good idea for white to exploit the fact that you're not underdeveloped. So after he castles and let you play d6 and develop a little bit, then it's not so scary anymore. So just a quick example is d5. What do you want to play?
Probably knight e2 there.
97, yeah.
I'm sorry, yeah, 97.
So this is similar to the game continuation that I see in the notation, but now there is quite a major difference that you can play d6, and your pawn is not on d6, and this is bad news for you.
Yeah, that looks scary.
Yeah, and I'll explain it positionally for a moment. You see these two pawns here?
Yeah.
Even if I don't take it back, they are blocking this bishop. And this bishop is blocking the rook. So essentially, for many, many moves to come, this position is going to be a material advantage for white, because this bishop and rook will not participate in the game.
Yeah, so even if it's not a literal material advantage, it's a implied material
positional advantage. Yeah, you can call it dynamic advantage. It will disappear over time, but for now it exists, and you can use it to attack. And also, he has more pieces out to just, regardless of this fact.
Yeah.
So after cd6, okay, you can of course take back with the queen, but a nice way to exploit it is to just keep developing and to bring more pieces to the game and start attacking, and maybe play knight g5 next. So yeah, it just feels terrible. And,
looks terrible.
Yeah. Okay, still some chances, but d5 is the way that I would consider to punish you. And just to quickly mention, another way that comes to mind is bishop g5. And once again, trying to exploit the fact that you're not very developed. And
yeah, it just looks kind of cramped. Everything looks very cramped.
I don't see a move, in fact. I mean, I don't even know what black can play here, because if f6, then this diagonal will be very bad, and you will never be able to castle. And if you just play, I don't know, I'm trying to, okay, f6, I'm trying to cancel the arrows, but okay, here. So if you develop the knight, then he has e5. If you develop the knight to e7, then after d5, you no longer have a good square.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, I have a square. I could go back to b8 or a7, but it's not the best.
Yeah,
squares.
but this is even worse than before.
Yeah.
So Yeah, so this is really terrible. And here I would still consider d6 as a nice attacking move for white, which in a sense is a prophylactic move against black playing d6. So this is really bad for black. Okay, so enough with the punishment. Let's see what he played. Castle. Now d6 is a good move. d5, and now it's not as bad as it was earlier, because after your move knight c7, suddenly your position is quite solid. It's still better for white, but he cannot really exploit it materially.
Yeah, I wasn't too nervous at this point.
Yeah. So, and both of your opponents had the initiative, and instead of acting on it, they castled in both of these games. So castling is a defensive move in general, bringing your king to safety. It's not something you do when you need to attack. So bishop g5, bishop g4 looks sensible. I would consider h6 first, just to ask his bishop where he wants to go. So let's just demonstrate h6, bishop h4, and probably now bishop g4. And I'm not sure if there is a difference, but it feels like a little bit more precise.
Would you think about
gain the tempo?
Would you think about castling on the queen side in this spot?
Yeah, but first, I mean, if I had two moves, I would go queen d7 and knight g6 with tempo on the bishop. So, and even if I castle kingside later, I will have this h6 pawn as a window, so it was a tempo that I gained. So bishop g4, h3, bishop h5, knight bd2. Looking good so far. Queen d7, so following with the same plan. And now I get the feeling he didn't know how to proceed, because he suddenly played this this move b4. I have no idea why.
Maybe he was just thinking that I would castle on the queen side. I'll bet you, from the mind of a fellow 1300 player, that's what I would think in that spot.
Yeah. Well, from my perspective, I'm trying to suggest moves for both of you, because we want to learn about the game, not only about your moves. So I would consider developing for him, because he cannot really win directly, as far as I can tell. So a good, let me ask you, in fact, what good developing move you think would exist here for white?
So the questions that you would ask me in this spot are, what pieces aren't working? So probably I would want to develop the queen, and then maybe get the rooks to a more active, give the rooks a more active role. So maybe something like queen c2 or queen b3.
Yes.
Maybe even king. Break the pin. I wouldn't want to stay on e2. So it'd be between those two moves.
Yes. So
c2 or b3.
all of them are good as long as you develop. However, there's something I will mention that I mentioned several times before, that you don't really know which square is the best, the very best for the queen. And maybe on the next move you'll have more information about it.
Yeah.
But you do know what square is best for the rook.
Right. Yeah. You want to be on that d file attacking my queen, probably.
Yeah, I'm not sure if this is a principle in chess, but this is a generally good idea to maintain some flexibility. I told you about this in relation with the castling. Remember postponing the castling?
You've mentioned this to me before, yeah.
Yeah, so being flexible applies also here. When you don't know, it also applies between the knights and the bishops when you don't know which one to develop. So you develop first the one you know where you want to put. So you have an open file, yeah?
I do, yeah.
So you can simply put the rook on the open file from white's perspective, and then on the next move decide where to put the queen. This seems like a good idea.
I think at this point I was pretty committed to casting on the queen side, and then I wanted him to open up that g file. I eventually played knight f6 and then opened it up.
Yeah, it was an interesting idea. I understand. It's very double-edged, and usually we like double-edged decisions if they're not bad, because it creates more action.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
This is good. So b4 is, I think, a slight mistake by your opponent. And knight f6, okay, it's the logical developing move, but I would just mention that, like I said earlier, h6, asking the bishop politely where he wants to go, wouldn't harm. And if he goes to h4, then knight g6 would be a tempo. So
yeah, I just got kind of hung up on the idea of opening up that G file. Just seemed like it was too strong to pass up.
Well, here's the thing. He doesn't have to take the knight. So,
right.
I mean, inviting him to open up I know this type of thinking. I mean, that you know that you're tempting him to open the file and he might fall for it, so you want to allow him to do something bad. But, I mean, knight f6 is a regular developing move, and h6 is a tempo. So regardless of what he does, a tempo is better over not gaining a tempo.
Yeah, well, I guess when you say it like that, it makes sense, huh?
Yeah. So knight f6, and it's not even only one, because after bishop h4 you get another one. Yeah.
Yeah.
So and then he moves to g3 most probably, and then you go knight f6, and now you can still decide where you want to castle. I would lean towards castling short, in fact, because he has, I mean, two reasons. One, he has the c file, so it's scary. And the second one, that generally when white castles to one side, you want to castle to the same side. Otherwise, he will get to you first with the pawn avalanche.
Sure, that makes sense.
So knight f6. Okay, he took, you took. This looks nasty for both sides.
Yeah,
so
I already have a near threat. If I can get the rook on the file there, then I'm attacking his h3 pawn with my queen. I was happy with this setup.
Yeah.
I didn't feel too intimidated.
Now he played a4. Not sure what he's threatening, but I mean, now it makes sense because, as I mentioned earlier, if you say A, then you might as well say B, and he wants to prevent castling, which is in fact your plan right now. So, in a way, you kind of played into his plan because now you do want to castle long, despite him preparing for it.
Well, I figured if he'd push to B5, I would just push my A pawn to A5.
Yeah, but his idea is to play A5 and after the bishop moves to play B5 later.
Oh. So I think you might be giving him too much credit, Tal. I think you might be giving him too much credit.
I mean, when I say him, I mean the pawn on A4, yeah?
Sure. Okay. All right.
The pawn has intentions that are objective.
All right.
So, rook G8. And now, okay, this is a good idea to put the rook on an open file. King H2. And now, well,
yeah, I think I just left my king in the middle of the board for quite a bit here.
Yeah, the position is very complicated. I'm not too sure. I like this fact from I mean, we have a lot of variations here to deal with, but I'll try to focus on the bigger things rather than the small details. So here, after King H2. Knight G6 looks like another. It's not a developing move because the knight is kind of developed here, but it's improving the knight, and you don't have any other piece that you can improve. So if you use my method, or let's call it the general method of asking the questions, then it would be also my conclusion. He has no threat. Which piece doesn't work? The knight on E7. Let's improve it. And okay, he also. I assume that you predicted his move G4,
yeah. Yeah, I did. That wasn't a blunder. I just figured that like if I could get my knight to that. Yeah. So if I go, for example, knight to F4, he can't take because the threat is just too strong with queen takes H3 there.
H3. Yeah, I think it's mate in 1 even.
Is it mate in 1? No, because he can go to G1, right?
Isn't there a rook on G8?
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So, yeah. As far as I can see, so we cannot even take at all. And he did play G4, which is kind of, I mean, it might be okay, but it's a little bit naive of him to think that, I mean, it doesn't even matter if you missed it, because all your pieces are there. You have 4 pieces on the king side, and he doesn't have as many. And he plays on the king side where his king is, so...
Well, I struggled a little bit with this attack, if I'm remembering this game correctly. I was like, I could feel like there was some kind of an attack there, but I felt like I just wasn't seeing it.
So knight f4, and now, okay, here he played knight g1, which makes sense. He wants to renew the threat on your bishop on h4.
I'll call you guys out right after this game. I appreciate all the support, you guys.
Still, I mean, I'm not sure if he's threatening anything because there's rook g2 check in mind. So this position becomes very, very nasty for him. And also for me to follow. But
is it getting tough for you here?
I'm up for the challenge. I'm gonna try.
Okay.
But I would love to miss something and for you to call me out. So
all right, I'd love that too, man. That sounds great.
So let's see. So knight g1, and I feel like in this position. So let's be methodical. What is his threat? I'm assuming you asked yourself at this point of the game.
So the threat now for him is just to grab that bish, because he has enough protection on the king side over there to block my attack, or so it seems. So I mean, I would say that's his biggest threat right now.
Well, I'm trying to calculate and to see just what happens if you castle long, because assuming he has no threat, castling would be a good idea. Yeah? Just in general to develop. I'm not saying it's the best move, but I'm just trying to calculate in my mind. So gh, rook g2 check, king h1. And now, I mean, the easiest move for me to calculate is rook takes g1 check. He has to take with the king, otherwise queen h3 is mate. Right?
Oh, yeah.
And then rook g8 check. And I don't see which piece can block, so I assume he has to move the king, and then queen h3 is mate.
Oh my goodness! Look at you goddamn wizard! Yeah, I knew there was a mating attack in there somewhere, but I just I was struggling to find it. That's a nice little rook take. The rook takes a knight move there.
G1, yeah. And in fact, you could have done it immediately here, but I like the idea that it comes with check, so it's more forcing. So we give this check and then take it with check. But so it's not necessarily the best continuation, but it was just a simple line that I would look at in my mind, calculating to figure out if he's threatening anything. And now that we've realized that he doesn't, I mean, at least after castling, if we don't castle, we don't have the other rook to join. So I wouldn't mind castling. I see in the notation that you played bishop d4. But so I guess you are attacking the rook on a1, and you want bishop e5 as well. Yeah,
with the idea. So I wanted to bring the bishop to d4 there with tempo, and then move it to e5. Get
You're a bit of a wizard yourself, because this is looking even nastier, because you kind of do the same thing, bring another piece to the attack, but unlike my move, you do it with tempo.
Yeah.
So
I wouldn't have made that move, I think, unless we had done these lessons, because I was asking myself, like, well, what can I do? Like the things like tempo and assessing threats. Like I had learned about these things before, but as I've been playing in the last couple of weeks, I've really been asking myself at the start of each move, all right, what's his threat? Can I get a tempo? Can I bring another piece in? So.
And probably the most important lesson that someone can take from it is that even if you learn something more than once and you hear us talking about it, it doesn't mean that you already know it and you can ignore it or just feel like you've mastered everything.
No, absolutely not.
I like to repeat things that I already know. Even now, I feel like in a way it affects my awareness of these things a little bit more.
Yeah.
So it's a good idea to repeat things you already know in order to apply them better. And there's always room for improvement and awareness. So especially when it comes to these questions and the tempi. So bishop d4 looks good. G takes h5 is the testing move, so I'm glad he played it. I wanted to calculate it. Let me ask you, did you see it in advance? This move gh5?
gh5, say it again?
Yeah, the position on the board, like after bishop d4, he took your bishop.
Yeah, I sacrificed that bishop. That wasn't a blunder. I just figured like there's so many pieces over there. This has to
Mm-hmm.
be winning for me.
Yeah, it looks winning, and it feels like you should win. Rook g2 check feels right. Um, King h1 is the only move, and now I see you castled long, but I'm trying to think maybe there is something more concrete, so to speak. So if you play, yeah, but it's not so easy.
I
I mean,
mean, it would
castling long
just
is the most natural move to bring the rook to the game.
you would still your move is the best move here, right? Just rook takes knight.
Yeah, but here it's not as dangerous because after king takes, queen takes h3, then he has queen f3. And you cannot play rook g8 check anymore. So,
Okay,
I mean, you
alright.
do win the rook on a1, but I don't think it's worth it. So, I mean, it might be protected. I'm not sure. So, so
it
here,
is protected by the other rook there.
yeah, exactly. So, I mean, technically, you could change the order. You could take the rook first, and now queen a1 will lose to queen h3. And you will mate him.
Yeah. Okay.
So I guess, I mean, the materialistic way to approach it is maybe even to take on a1 first and then sacrifice your rook. But I like the idea of bringing another piece rather than taking material. So
Yeah.
castle long definitely looks right, unless you can find a defense for him, which is very difficult to calculate even when you see the board. So queen f3 looks like the logical move for him, which he played actually. And now, well, he lets you grab his rook, but he obviously attacks some of your pieces as well. The
Yeah.
knight on f4.
At this point, I was a
And,
little stumped because he's attacking my knight there, which is guarding my rook. Yeah. This part, I felt like I kind of felt the attack slipping away from me.
So I feel like a good move would be rook to g8 here, because now if he takes on f4, then I want to go bishop e5,
Okay.
like I
Yeah.
see that you did at the end of the game here.
Yeah, that's
You,
devastating, isn't it?
yeah, and if he moves the queen, there is rook h2 mate.
Yeah.
So I don't see a defense for him. And the problem with the move that you played after bishop e5 is that you don't have any direct immediate threat that I can see, and you give him time to increase the defense. So I'm not sure what he could do, but an idea that comes to mind, if I'm not missing something, it might be rook a3 and to join the defense somehow. And maybe if he has another move, to play queen takes g2 or something. But okay, it's very complicated, and the point is that bishop e5 is not bringing a new piece, because the bishop is still part of the game,
Yeah.
part of the attack in a way.
Okay.
So bringing the rook will be a little bit more active.
Okay. All right.
And also, of course, you have to anticipate that queen f4 fails, and then it's obvious that the rook g8 is a good move.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if it's the best, but good enough is something I can live with.
So what did I play here? I don't remember what I
Oh,
played.
by the way, I just want to... No, never mind. I thought there was a forced mate if he takes on f4, but but it doesn't work. Let me just demonstrate. So rook g8, I was thinking queen f4, you have rook g1, and then queen h3, but after queen h2, I think there is no way to proceed.
Yeah, it gets a little not great after that.
Yeah, so it's mainly about calculation. So queen f3, bishop e5, and yeah, now it feels like the attack is not as powerful as it was earlier, because of you wasting one move is more than enough if he punishes you. So 92, yeah, this doesn't add any more pieces to the defense. It in fact takes this knight away from his king, so it doesn't feel right.
It felt
I don't
pretty.
like this move.
I hated that move, seeing that, because I didn't know how to.
Yeah, because your rook is hanging, but it feels like a mistake from my point of view. And just to quickly point out, if you play rook g8 and he takes, he still cannot take back.
He still can't
Because
take.
of
Oh yeah,
queen
that's right.
h3.
Yeah.
So, and it's, I mean, you don't even have to I mean, it's pretty logical because he didn't add more pieces, and you did add another piece by playing Rook G8.
Well,
so
let me take this over real quick. I'm gonna back this up. So at this
sure.
point, all right. So what was I looking at here? Okay, so instead of, I wonder if there. I was wondering. All right, never mind. You go ahead. Take the reins. It's all you. We're on knight takes knight.
Yeah. So in this position, knight takes knight. Bishop takes wait. So in the game, I played bishop e5, knight e2, rook dg8. Okay, so that's exactly what you played. I didn't notice. I thought I was analyzing a variation, but that's the move you actually played. You brought the rook to the game. He's not threatening knight f4. It's just exchanging pieces, but now you have basically 4 different pieces, yeah, in the attack versus basically 1 piece in the defense.
This was a fun game. Going over this was
I
really.
And I think this is already lost for him. So 92 was probably the mistake that ruined what might have been a better position for white. So yeah, now rook h2 mate is a threat, and if it takes, then you have queen takes h3. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I did get a mate here.
Yeah. So
he brought his rook over, and then I mated him. So he brought his rook over to g1.
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't give his poor king a spot to move.